I saw that all who lived and walked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successor. Next reading in Is This All There Is to Life? Answers from Ecclesiastes, author Ray C. Stedman in 1999. I saw that all who lived and walked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successors. There was no end of all the people who were before them. But those who came later were not pleased with the successor. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Here is a young man who went through the same difficulty as the old king had. He had won his popularity and power, yet he had not learned either. Although he had an example of his predecessor, he ultimately lost the respect of others. So time does not always teach us the right lessons. All of it remains meaningless, a chasing after the wind. In chapter 5, a marvelous chapter, the searcher answers these objections. He declares 4 things. First, guard your steps when you go into the house of God. That's Ecclesiastes 5:1. This is, learn to let God be God. This is the first thing he suggests. The lessons of life will fall into place when you learn it. God is in charge of life, so let him be in charge. The place to learn this is the house of God. When you go there, guard your steps, either thoughtfully, meditatively. Expect to be taught something. In ancient Israel, the house of God was the temple in Jerusalem. Their sacrifices were offered along with explanations of what they meant. There was a law that was read, and the wisdom of God about life was declared, and this marvelous Old Testament was unfolded. And it was tremendous, and with its tremendous insights into the truth about life and humanity. The temple was the only place in the land where people could learn these things. In our day, the house of God was no longer a holy building. We must be clear about that. We, believing people, are the house of God. What the searcher is saying, that when we gather as the people of God to be expectant, there is something to be learned, something important. Being with the people of God is important to learning to let God be God. Second, he says, listen carefully. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know that they do wrong. Ecclesiastes 5:1. Fool is somebody who glibly utters naive, ingenuous, and usually false things. What the searcher clearly has in mind here is that the human tendency to complain and murmur about what has been handed to them in life. When we grouse about our circumstances, we're really complaining against God. We are murmuring against the choice God has made in his wonderful plan for our life. We will never learn to enjoy anything by complaining. We will not even enjoy our pleasure, let alone our pain. So he says, listen carefully. For among the people of God, the truth of God is being declared. The wisdom of God is being set forth. And recently in church, a man said to me, I have been going through a painful experience this past week. I learned to see myself, and it horrified me. I saw things in myself which I despise in others. That is encouraging, for that man is learning truth about himself. The searcher continues. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. As a dream comes when there are many cares, so the speech of a fool when there are many words. Ecclesiastes 5:2-3. It is easy to take the phrase God in heaven to mean that God is far off somewhere, high above the universe and watching the affairs of men, while we insignificant humans struggle along down here. But that is not what this means. Heaven is not some distant place. In the Bible, heaven means the invisible world of reality, the arena in which things are going on that we cannot see, but yet is really here. God is in that realm, and he sees much more than we do.